My wife became disinterested in our marriage and initiated contact with her former partner, leading me to install recording devices to expose her infidelity. I have been an observer of this forum for approximately 6 months but am compelled to seek counsel regarding my circumstances. I am grateful for any insights or guidance this community can provide. I am 35 years old, and my wife is 31. We have been unable to conceive for 6 months. I am uncertain about the best course of action. It is crucial to note that we have 2 children, aged 3 and 1.5. Additionally, we are currently engaged in the construction of a residence. I am not one to idly observe a situation that I perceive to be problematic, and I believe it is preferable to address any issues promptly. Consequently, I initiated a discussion with my wife to ascertain the underlying cause of her behavior. I inquired as to the reason behind her cessation of physical affection, specifically why she had ceased hugging, kissing, and otherwise expressing physical intimacy. I began to inquire as to why she ceased initiating physical contact with me. Initially, she was reluctant to engage in dialogue. However, she eventually revealed her innermost thoughts and feelings. Through this process, I came to understand that I was not fulfilling her emotional needs. She was attempting to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone, and she was unable to rely on me for support. In the domestic sphere, she is the primary decision-maker, and she is also responsible for the care of the children. She informed me that I would be better off alone, and she also stated that I am an introvert, although not to the extent of being a hardcore introvert. I was quite taken aback by her statements, but I accepted them and informed her that I understood her pain and that I would work on my behavior so that she would not have to be stressed about it. I am compelled to address the issue, as I hold her in high regard and am reluctant to engage in conflict. However, I also possess my own perspective and ideas that I find difficult to sleep over. There is a significant red flag that prompted me to seek advice from this group. Her statements are not entirely accurate, and while I acknowledge that my opinion may differ from others, I firmly believe that I adhere to the standards of a commendable husband. I am engaged in work that requires me to be away from home for approximately 8 to 9 hours. However, after that period, I am responsible for the care of my sons. I engage in activities with them, provide them with nourishment, and accompany the older child to the swimming pool. I also ensure their bedtime routines are followed. Additionally, I am awake at night if necessary, aside from when I am tending to the needs of my children. In addition to the aforementioned domestic duties, I also undertake the washing up, grocery shopping, and general tidying of the house. I am responsible for maintaining the vehicle and undertaking various tasks related to the new house. I recognize that I contribute significantly to my partner's well-being by making her life easier. However, I am not naturally proactive. Some individuals find it challenging to remain still for extended periods. For 5 minutes on a couch without considering the subsequent actions, tasks, or responsibilities that must be completed is a common occurrence for me. Similarly, my father exhibits a similar tendency. I do not engage in any activities outside of work or personal time once the children are asleep. My preference is to relax with a movie or video games to unwind. I am not inclined to pursue entrepreneurial endeavors. I am best at my field and prefer to be told what to do and do my work well. Many people are similarly inclined, and I am not ashamed of it. I do not pursue any spectacular career. I do not dream of having millions in my bank account. I am just a regular person. I am good at what I do. The man in question desired a healthy and happy family, as well as a decent income. Despite being happily married for 4 years and in a happy relationship with me for 5 years prior, she began to have an issue with that. The discussion occurred in December, after which I began to work against my personality, which affected my ability to take proactive action, such as purchasing additional groceries or making extra home repairs. She appreciated this, but despite my efforts to improve the situation, her approach remained unchanged. Consequently, I initiated a second discussion, inquiring as to her willingness to salvage the marriage. Initially, she responded that she was uncertain. However, to continue the dialogue, I proposed the possibility of marital counseling. She remained undecided. In light of these circumstances, I suggested that the situation might soon require the couple to live separately from their children. This prompted her to reconsider and agree to the proposal. However, to ensure a productive outcome, I sought the guidance of a qualified therapist. During the course of the discussion, the subject displayed a distinct lack of interest in the subject matter. She proceeded to divulge a number of distressing details, including the assertion that she had entered into the marriage with the sole intention of impressing her parents and sisters-in-law, with the ultimate goal of establishing a large and happy family unit, and of having children. She further stated that her decision to marry had been driven by a sense of enchantment rather than genuine romantic attachment. Additionally, it came to light that she had convened with a fellow priest to discuss the nature of our marriage. By this point, I had already sought the guidance of a qualified therapist, with whom I had attended my second session. During this session, we discovered that we exhibited differing love languages. I require physical contact, she, on the other hand, desires to engage in manual labor. However, since the inception of our counseling sessions, she has ceased to provide me with physical affection. Following the 2 initial sessions, I inquired about her feelings and whether she enjoyed the experience. Her response was merely that she felt uneasy about disclosing the intimate details of our lives to an unacquainted individual. When the therapist learned that we had not been sleeping in the same room for 6 months, she expressed shock. My wife explained that this was due to her sleeping with children on the bed. The therapist replied that it is a very poor example for the children to exclude their father from the bedroom. If there is no space on the bed, I purchased a single bed from IKEA and placed it next to the larger bed. I am currently sleeping in this new arrangement. Interestingly, I still feel as though I am sleeping alone. My wife is situated to the left, the boys are in the middle, and I am on the right. The wife modified her testimony somewhat. She began stating that she is depressed due to spending extended periods with the children at home. She informed me that she had said these things because she was emotionally overwhelmed. I would never make such statements about her in any situation. However, I felt compelled to believe her. She recently resumed her professional duties, and we have employed a nanny. The only discernible change in her behavior is that we have begun communicating. I am not merely her friend, I am also her husband, and there is no indication that the situation will improve. There are no signs that the problem will be resolved. She is indifferent about the next MC sessions. I have to schedule them. Regarding the S, she informed me that she does not require it and has been doing it only because I requested it. I felt like an abuser. She never enjoyed sexual intercourse. We engaged in it once a week, which is satisfactory for me. It could have occurred more frequently, but it is acceptable. This year, we engaged in it twice, and both times it was a mere act of pity. The beginning of January, as I had a birthday. Now, I have to have a birthday to engage in sexual intercourse, and the other after counseling, when initiated, but she was merely lying on her back, covering her chest, and waiting for me to conclude. This made me lose interest in the activity. It is not the activity itself that is the issue. When I bring up the topic, she simply states that that is what I am. If you do not like it, you are free to leave. I am unsure of how to proceed. Please advise. Update 1. There was one situation when my wife attempted to contact her former romantic partner. The boyfriend called 4 times in a row at 10 p.m. On the evening in question, my wife did not engage in conversation with the individual in question, but attempted to contact him. I am aware of this because we had previously utilized an application on our mobile devices that saved our respective phone numbers. As a result, I was able to view the incoming and outgoing phone calls for each number. Following this, I experienced a profound sense of distress, questioning why my wife was contacting her former romantic partner 4 times at 10 p.m. I decided to check her messages on her laptop. I felt terrible, but I believed it was justified given our circumstances. We are married with children, and her recent behavior was concerning. After calling him 4 times, she sent him a message. I informed her that I would continue calling until she picked up and engaged in a normal conversation. When I inquired about her actions, she provided false information. She denied calling him, so I showed her the app and her outgoing calls. She was compelled to admit that she had attempted to contact him. I inquired as to why, and she stated that she had called him back, aware that she had also sent him a message. I then asked her if she had written anything to him after calling. She replied in the negative. I then showed her the message she had sent him, and she explained that he had become inebriated and contacted her, engaging in a series of incoherent remarks. She stated that she informed him to cease communication and terminated the call. She subsequently attempted to contact him on 4 occasions due to his failure to respond, ultimately sending the message in question. He did not reply. I am uncertain how to interpret these events. They transpired during the period in which she terminated her relationship with me. She maintains that her actions are not unusual or problematic, and that she did not disclose this information to me. It is of no consequence to her that any contact with an ex-partner is perceived as a negative indicator. From my perspective, however, the situation is more complex. For 6 months, there has been no communication between us. This is when the calls began. I am grateful to you all for your insights. Initially, I was incredulous at the suggestion that she was cheating on me. It seemed implausible. I had not considered it to be a possibility. In a movie, such an act might be unlikely to be perpetrated by my wife. However, today, everything changed, it became a fact. I feel foolish to be just another person who has experienced this, but I suppose this is how life is now. I know I promised to call her ex-partner and speak with her family, but I decided to take a step back and play it cool. Can you believe how easy that was? All I did was install a voice-activated recorder. A voice-activated recorder was installed in our vehicle. It was in use for a period of only 3 days. She used the vehicle to commute to her place of work. She then proceeded to attend a fitness class. She subsequently contacted him on 2 occasions. The precise sequence of events is unclear, but I was able to hear the entirety of the conversation. It was a video conversation conducted over the telephone. I was privy to all the details of their discussion. They discussed various aspects of their lives, including matters pertaining to each other. In the past, when we first met, there was a mutual attraction and a shared interest in jokes and other forms of light-hearted banter. However, over time, this connection has diminished. She has expressed a desire to visit him this July, which is surprising given the lack of communication and the passage of time. Furthermore, she has set a deadline of 2 years for him to move back to our country. This information, along with other details revealed in an hour-long audio recording, has prompted me to seek legal counsel. In the following week, I would like to express my gratitude for your assistance. Without it, I would not have purchased the voice recording device. I must also acknowledge my initial reluctance to place it in the car. However, I have since realized the necessity of this action. I am currently in the process of updating this account. I recognize the need to maintain a level of emotional distance and to focus on the well-being of my children. I have been aware of the situation for approximately 2 months. It took approximately 2 months for me to become aware of changes in her behavior. I will be caring for my elderly father for the entirety of the following week in another city. Consequently, she will be unable to attend work for approximately a week. Instead, she will utilize my home office. This also means that she will be interacting with him in the office. Would you place the recorder in the office for the duration of the following week? Alternatively, I have sufficient updates 3. The situation began in September of last year, so I have been absent from the picture for a considerable length of time. She is reluctant to interact with me in any capacity within the apartment we rent. She is perpetually occupied with various tasks and frequently visits her parents or friends. She even retires to bed at the same time as our children, who are 1 and 3 years old. The audio recording provides irrefutable evidence of her actions. She frequently mentions her affection for him and expresses a desire to visit him and engage in sexual intercourse with him. They engage in frequent discussions about his personal matters. She informed him of her intention to accompany him on a vacation and stated that she will become his wife and leave me soon. She even discussed his preferred sexual position. Therefore, it can be concluded that they engaged in sexual intercourse, as evidenced by the presence of semen. The crucial point is that she is unaware that I am aware of her actions and those of her entire family. Furthermore, her friends are unaware of the situation. They believe that there is a temporary crisis. She is one of 3 sisters who are Catholic. They attend church every Sunday. The family resides in a small town with a population of 20,000. They recently built a house, but it is not yet complete. Based on her actions, it is likely that she will file for divorce very soon. She is clearly suffering, and living in the apartment with me is becoming unbearable for her. Her body language and other behaviors indicate this. The total lack of any conversation demonstrates her intention to remove me from the situation as soon as possible. This will create a period of time during which she will be free to pursue a relationship with the other man, who will then move to the small town to live with her and my 2 young sons. In the recording, she stated that she will give him 2 years to return to our country. This suggests that she believes people will accept her decision to end the marriage and pursue a relationship with the other man, given that he will become a father figure for her children. I will not complain about the AP being her first boyfriend. They were together for 7 years before she married me. We have been together for 9 years, and the AP lives abroad but frequently visits our country. I refuse to be played like that. I have an attorney, and we will be meeting him soon about it. I can basically destroy her reputation by showing bits of the recording to anybody. Please help me. In light of these developments, I am seeking advice on how to proceed. My attorney has advised that I allow a month's preparation time before responding to the papers that have been served. I had not anticipated that I would be dealing with such a formidable opponent. At our meeting, the attorney and I gained valuable insights. It became evident that pursuing the dissolution of my marriage with Worldway would not be a prudent decision. This is due to the fact that we have children together, and I am required to consider their best interests. The aforementioned individual will be a parent to her for the next 15 to 16 years. Another reason is that I have a great deal of respect for her family, and I would prefer to avoid involving them as witnesses in the divorce proceedings. Additionally, I would not be able to win custody of the children, as they are still young and reside with their mother in a small town an hour away from me in Capital City. I would be permitted to visit them every other weekend. Furthermore, I would not be granted permission to sell our house, as the children require a stable and comfortable living environment. The conditions are such that there is no other place for them to live. The property in which they currently reside is owned by her father. It is, to be frank, a rather poor quality residence, but it is the reality in Poland. Following our conversation, the attorney sent her papers. They were scheduled to be delivered immediately following Easter in Poland, which lasts 2 days here. It was Sunday and Monday. I fabricated the entire situation at the table. Alcohol helped me to cope with the situation. Yesterday, Tuesday, I had a day off work and was caring for my 1-year-old child. A year has elapsed. My daughter proceeded to the capital city, located an hour away. In the interim, my brother assisted me in removing my belongings from the apartment and placing them in his vehicle. The postman delivered the divorce papers, which were, in fact, an invitation to mediation. The objective of this mediation was to facilitate a mutually agreeable and amicable dissolution of the marriage. The document states that my daughter is in the dissolution of the marriage is attributed to the couple's relationship. The evidence at my disposal will be utilized as leverage in the establishment of child support and other related matters. Upon her arrival at the residence, I informed her of my awareness of the circumstances. I possess irrefutable proof and have been profoundly affected by the situation. I advised her to contact my legal counsel. Subsequently, I provided her with the divorce papers. Subsequently, she proceeded to visit her parents. Inevitably, she began inquiring about my knowledge and the source of it. She vehemently denied the allegations. Her parents were visibly disconcerted but ultimately believed me. I recorded the entire interaction, as instructed by my attorney. It commenced with my inquiries about her perception of me as a husband and father. They expressed approval, which she is now unable to leverage. As previously stated, witnesses who were present during the incident corroborated my account. They expressed understanding of the gravity of the situation and acknowledged the detrimental impact on the lives of all parties involved. I expressed gratitude for their understanding and proceeded to the capital city. During this time, I contacted a friend who proceeded to disseminate the information to her acquaintances. 2 hours later, my brother, the in-law, subsequently contacted me to inform me that she had admitted to being unfaithful to me with the AP. However, she did not concede to having engaged in sexual intercourse with him. He also informed me that I had the support of the wider family, and that she had caused significant damage to our family unit. Furthermore, he revealed that her sister had visited my soon-to-be ex-wife. The wife was informed that her actions were morally reprehensible. However, the husband subsequently asserted that the situation could be salvaged. He also disclosed that he had been unfaithful to his wife. She forgave him, and the couple is now reportedly very happy. Subsequently, the father of the wife called and also admitted that her actions were entirely her fault and that she was unaware of the consequences of her actions. He stated that the AP would never enter his house and that he would cease providing financial assistance to the soon-to-be ex-wife. My wife informed me that her other sister had contacted her and expressed support for my position. However, she also conveyed a belief that the situation could be salvaged. I am skeptical of this possibility. I am convinced that the relationship cannot be repaired. My wife's sister's stance represents a divergence from my perspective. The audio recordings of her statements and my reasons for leaving her are insufficient to justify my departure. She has made statements such as, "Make sure you'll last more than 3 seconds when I'll come visit you in Holland," and, "I wonder if your dad's crap is the same as yours." She has also made the remark, "I'll come to that woman and will ask her how long is your brother's crap," which suggests a willingness to engage in questionable behavior. Given these circumstances, I have decided to leave my husband. Please record yourself and send me a video. In the video, please demonstrate your preferred sexual position, which I believe is the crappy style, with your back straight. I am attempting to illustrate how your life with me would be. I am offering you a 2-year period to move back to me. This is in addition to the lack of emotional responsiveness you have demonstrated towards me for 7 months. Furthermore, immediately following our confrontation, she informed me that she never stopped loving him. This is compelling evidence to me. What do you think? Many of you have previously suggested that she is attempting to reconcile with her former partner. She has been sending me messages indicating that she is remorseful and that she is unable to imagine living without him. She has also stated that she did not intend to deceive me regarding her feelings for him. I am experiencing a sense of having acted precipitously with regard to the divorce, given that I do not possess the actual lovemaking tape. It is evident that they are unaware that I have proof of her infidelity and that she is not admitting to having actually been unfaithful to him. This is plausible given that he is currently in Holland, but it is nevertheless possible that he may have visited her here. She began to communicate with me again in order to salvage her reputation in the eyes of her family and to regain my affections, as she requires significant assistance with our 2 young sons. She initiated contact via Messenger, although not with great frequency. The majority of her messages were identical, expressing sentiments such as, "I can't imagine my life without you, I love you and only you," and including photographs of our children and messages. She also stated that she was eagerly awaiting our reunion and expressed her affection. I have been in communication with her on the messaging platform for approximately 5 weeks. During this time, she has not contacted me by telephone or in person. She has, however, driven by my parents' house on several occasions. Our interactions on Messenger have been limited to a few messages. We have also met on a couple of occasions to exchange our children. She has not attempted to apologize or engage in any form of reconciliation. Instead, she has maintained communication with her family. Her father called me on 2 occasions, while her mother sent me approximately a dozen messages containing links to Christian pages that discuss forgiveness. Additionally, her sister sent me a text message expressing her regret and attributing my wife's actions to the influence of an evil spirit. Her other sister conveyed that my wife has damaged our family and does not anticipate my return. My lawyer even came to my residence and accompanied me to a local establishment for a beverage. His objective was not to persuade me to reconsider my position, rather, it was to facilitate a discussion about the past and future implications of my continued absence. While he expressed a desire for me to reconsider my stance, he did not exert any pressure. These conversations were conducted in a cordial manner, with both parties sharing their perspectives. It is difficult to comprehend the actions that she has taken. We would like you to reconsider your decision to end the marriage, but we understand if you are unable to do so. However, I have made up my mind, and my lawyer informed her lawyer that I am unable to forgive her and that I want a divorce. My lawyer presented me the terms of the divorce are currently under discussion, and we are awaiting her lawyer's response. During this period, her sister has been openly critical of me, stating that I am responsible for the breakdown of the marriage. She has also accused my wife of initiating the conflict by acting selfishly. However, at this moment, she is expressing remorse and longing for the past. Consequently, I am now perceived as the selfish one, and the potential for marital dissolution is attributed to my decision to initiate divorce. The onus is on me to reconsider, as I possess the option of revoking the divorce and returning to my children. My primary responsibility is to my sons, and I have the capacity to return to my wife's side. She has also suggested that I am prone to anger and that this quality will eventually dissipate. She has advised me to adopt a more resilient attitude. She suggested that I continue living with my wife. She indicated that my wife's decision to divorce me was motivated by a desire for revenge against me, but also explained that it was a form of revenge against our children as well. I am unable to comprehend this perspective. I had been informed by others that the situation would gradually change and that my wife's family would turn against me. However, I was still taken aback by this turn of events. Today, I experienced feelings of guilt for believing that I was responsible for my wife's mistreatment of me for over half a year. She has chosen to abandon me physically and emotionally, and has indicated her desire to terminate the marriage. This has been a difficult decision to make, but I am resolved not to change my mind. The divorce will proceed. It appears that the narrative currently in circulation is that I am the one who is abandoning the children. I am considering presenting my terms for a reconciliation, which she is unlikely to accept. My primary motivation for doing so would be to protect the children. I love my children immensely and am willing to do whatever it takes to ensure their well-being. I am open to a partnership, but I believe that a marriage is not the best option for our family. I am willing to live separately financially, as I have done for the past 7 months. I have also considered moving to a different city with my children to be closer to my family. I would monitor my wife's driving habits with a GPS system and regularly check her phone. After the 7-month period, would be open to dating other women. I would not hesitate to cheat on my wife if the opportunity arose. I do not believe that marriage is the best option for our family, and I am willing to do whatever it takes to ensure the well-being of my children. I am merely proposing an idea, not intending to pursue it seriously. Nevertheless, it is a potential solution to the dilemma of how to respond to the concerns of my family about my potential abandonment of the children in Poland. In the event of a divorce, it would be preferable for the children to remain in the care of their mother, given that I do not reside in the same town as her. The children attend kindergarten and nursery in her town, which makes it unfeasible for us to share custody. I am currently fulfilling the role of weekend dad, with full access to the children at all times. This arrangement is, of course, far from ideal, and it is a source of considerable sadness and pain for me. However, it is what it is. Update 6. 2 months have now passed since I confronted Ed and handed her the divorce papers. I subsequently relocated to the capital city, which is an hour's drive from the small town where we used to live together. I am currently living with my parents, sleeping on the couch in their living room. The dining table has been repurposed as a work and entertainment space, and my clothes are hanging on every chair. After working from home for approximately 8 hours, I typically assist my elderly parents, aged 88 and 71, with various domestic tasks. I also undertake grocery shopping and transportation to medical appointments. Additionally, I engage in physical exercise and social activities, such as cinema visits, to mitigate the negative impact of the situation. I am able to experience genuine happiness when I am in the company of my children, who I collect from their residence and subsequently return to mine. A paternity test was subsequently conducted, confirming that the 2 boys are indeed mine. However, the circumstances surrounding the dissolution of the marriage remain somewhat ambiguous. Given that I am currently residing with my parents, it is challenging to ascertain the future course of events. As a father of 2 and a mature adult, I do not possess alternative accommodation. I am seeking a substantial financial settlement from my former spouse, in addition to her assumption of the mortgage on the marital residence. She initially consented to the mortgage takeover but subsequently proposed an offer that was less than what I had requested. I am seeking 1/3 of the total funds that I believe I am owed, which represents the amount I contributed to the construction of the property. I did not cause this situation and am not at fault. I require a place to live. 1/3 of the total funds I am seeking is not sufficient to purchase a flat. The discussion between our attorneys is ongoing. The reason she is offering me a relatively small amount is because she wants to retain ownership of the house. However, during our last conversation, I learned that it is possible that she will be forced to sell the property. From the outset, it would have been more prudent for her to have considered this possibility. It is unlikely that she will be able to meet her mortgage repayments and my maintenance payments. It remains to be seen how events will unfold in this regard. There are other financial matters to be resolved, including child support. The amounts involved are excessive. These issues will require further discussion and agreement. She also claims that I should be responsible for transporting the children to their home in the small town and returning them by the end of the weekend. This would entail a significant expenditure of fuel and time. Her dropping them off and me driving them back demonstrates her responsibility for these arrangements. However, she is also eager to discuss divorce terms. Her sister invited me to her daughter's communion, which took place last Sunday. I attended to spend more time with my sons. All family members are aware of my decision and did not attempt to negotiate with me. I simply took care of my sons while following the ceremony. Attendees were consuming alcohol and food at the table. At one point, my wife inquired as to the finality of my decision. I gazed at her and informed her in a composed manner that it was indeed definitive and would not be subject to change. I stated that my primary focus was on spending time with my sons. However, she proceeded to express remorse and regret for her actions. She informed me that she had terminated the she then proceeded to inform me that she had consulted with an exorcist and divulged every detail of her affair to him. She also stated that she had left the matter in God's hands. I responded by stating that I was not concerned with her priest and that she should be admitting everything to me, as I was the individual to whom she was lying. At this point, her statement seemed implausible, but I continued, stating, "If you are truly remorseful, I am now willing to hear the truth. Tell me how many times you had sex with him." She responded that she did not engage in the activity in question. I then inquired about her rationale for renting a flat via Airbnb for a night instead of staying in the apartment of one of her colleagues, with whom she had hosted a party in November. Upon hearing this, she became visibly disconcerted and struggled to find words, other than to ask why I was persisting in dwelling on the matter. I then explained that if she was genuinely remorseful, she would not continue to engage in deceit. I provided her with an additional example, stating that my perception of her actions with her former partner was identical. I informed her that she had terminated the relationship with him on numerous occasions. I then posed the question of how she envisioned a reconciliation. I suggested that she would initiate communication with me and then immediately provide false information. I asked her to consider the implications of such a scenario. She responded that she did not believe it would be a productive approach, as it would not foster trust. I likened her actions to those of discarding refuse. Our son then interrupted, and the conversation was nearing its conclusion. I concluded by stating that her actions were not limited to infidelity, they also involved betraying our 2 young sons. This remark visibly upset her. She began shouting that it was the last time I would make such a remark in front of our children. It is noteworthy that her sister has informed me that my wife is experiencing considerable distress and sadness on a daily basis as a result of these events. Faced with a woman in tears in front of the family, I was nevertheless lied to. Furthermore, I was informed that if she so wished, she would be with the other man, and that her family could do nothing to stop her. I was even told that I should be grateful that she had ended the relationship with him, and that she was now in control of her own destiny. I am aware that I am merely venting at this point, but I feel it is important to keep you, the reader, up to date. I would like to express my gratitude for the support you have all provided. I am committed to remaining resilient and to concluding this situation in a satisfactory manner. I believe that the outcome will not be beneficial for my children, who will require psychological assistance. The older child has recently exhibited signs of distress, but I will continue to be a source of support for them. Update 7. Our attorneys have finally reached an agreement, and the divorce proceedings will commence shortly. She is taking the house remains unfinished, and the mortgage is now exclusively hers. The house is for the children. It is my intention that nobody in the future will claim that I caused the sale of the house as part of my revenge for her and the. Furthermore, I do not wish to live in it in her small hometown, which is an hour away from the capital city where I am now. However, I am taking what I put in it, and that is. The financial terms of the agreement are not unfavorable. The child support amount is also reasonable. Additionally, we have agreed that she will be dropping the children at my residence in the capital city every other weekend. I will be responsible for transporting them back. Currently, I see my children almost every weekend, but this is not sufficient for me. It causes me significant distress. At times, I am unable to cope with the situation. A year has elapsed. It is unfortunate that young men are forced to live without a father figure because of a woman who is unable to conduct herself in an appropriate manner. It would be beneficial for me to have access to them, however, this is not a viable option due to the legal constraints in Poland. I am compelled to consider alternative arrangements, such as traveling there during the middle of the week, in order to maintain contact. In terms of her behavior, she has been messaging me frequently, expressing her love and regret for her actions. She has even reached a point where she is willing to admit that she has made mistakes. She informed me that she no longer considers checking her phone to be a form of mistreatment and allowed me to do so. She permitted me to do so on a regular basis and even suggested that we relocate from our current residence in a small town to the capital city. She agreed to divulge all the details of the affair to me if I were to take her back. She even visited my parents and expressed her apologies. It is evident that something must have occurred, or perhaps someone informed her of the necessity to do so. She is now willing to take the necessary steps to rectify the situation. She is currently exhibiting signs of remorse. In her last communication, she thanked him for not selling the house and ending the marriage amicably. She also stated that this implies acceptance of the divorce. He will have to agree in court, but he wants to clarify that this is not true. He does not want the divorce and loves her very much. He understands her skepticism but wants her to know that he hopes for a chance to prove his love. I will have the opportunity to demonstrate my affection for you at some point in the future. I love you, and I am sorry for my actions. There are no words that adequately express my regret for my actions. These events continue to influence my thoughts and impede my recovery. I would be untruthful if I did not admit that her words affect me. I find myself contemplating an alternative future for my children, in which they grow up in the capital city rather than in our small town. I am of the opinion that she is experiencing difficulties in the absence of her partner, particularly given the circumstances of having two young children. However, she did engage in the act of infidelity and has consequently caused irreparable damage to the relationship. I had assumed that the passage of time would result in a resolution, but the emotional trauma has left a deep and slow-healing wound. I am committed to pursuing the dissolution of the marriage and to ending this relationship. She only agreed to divulge the particulars of her infidelity when I returned, not immediately. She did not offer to examine her phone, nor did she suggest relocating from our current residence in the small town to the capital city. It took 3 months for her to demonstrate any remorse. Even then, she did not contact me or visit me. Instead, she merely offered vague, indirect apologies. It became evident that her family was fully supportive of her decision. Her mother even went as far as to label me a narcissist, while her sister suggested that I was motivated by financial gain in the context of the impending divorce and that I was attempting to leave her with the responsibility of caring for 2 young boys. Yesterday, I was permitted a brief visit with my children. During this visit, she extended an invitation for me to stay for the night. However, I declined, citing the need for some time to process the situation. Update 8D, the day in question was April 7th, and my mindset after almost half a year of navigating such complex situations is as follows. In my case, the questions that arise daily are as follows: do I still love her? Could I go back to her, just for the kids? Do I want to go back to her small town where she lives and finish building the house? Would I feel comfortable with myself in 5 to 10 years, knowing what she'd done? The answer to all of the aforementioned questions is an unequivocal negative. Despite my immense love for my children and a desire to see them on a daily basis, I am unable to do so. I would like to love her, but I am unable to do so. Despite her desire for me to return, I am unable to do so. I would like to have that family back together, but I am unable to do so. I would like to forget about everything that has transpired, but I am unable to do so. At one point, I even offered her a second chance. She proposed a solution whereby she would relocate to my city with her children in order to start anew. However, she ultimately declined, stating that she has the support of her family in the small town and is reluctant to sell the house because she wishes to ensure that our children have something to inherit in the future. When I informed her that the family is not merely a physical structure, but rather a mother, father, and children, she remained silent. At this juncture, I came to recognize that our future together was no longer a possibility. There is no middle ground in this situation. I explained that I will not continue my life in the small town because this is where the affair started. He noticed her on the street driving by and called her. I continued that I absolutely will not finish building a house, which is located 1 mile away from her AP's family house. I will not live another day in my life worrying that the possibility of encountering him was a concern. He resides abroad but visits his family 2 or 3 times a year. The conversation concluded. She is reluctant to live in the capital. This is the extent of her desire to leave the small town. As an illustration of her approach to matters, we agreed that I would retain the funds I invested in the house, and she would retain ownership of the property for the benefit of the children. However, she now has an objection to this arrangement because there is one stipulation of the agreement is that the house cannot be sold until the children reach the age of 18. In Poland, this is the age of majority. Otherwise, the proceeds from the sale must be split equally between the 2 parties. The other party claims this is unfair because she plans to complete the house with her own funds and, in the event of a sale, she would receive half of a property that would be worth much more. Upon completion of the house, I inquired as to why she would even consider selling it. She responded that she is unable to predict the trajectory of her life. At this juncture, I am reluctant to trust her intentions. I am leaning towards the sale of the building only, as I am unable to reconcile the idea of selling the house, which was intended for my children. Update 9, she sent me the following message today: I would like you to answer my question. I am posing these questions to you here because, if I were to pose them to you in person, we would only engage in a verbal altercation. You have already informed me of my identity, my actions, and so on, and I am no longer interested in discussing these matters. Given the circumstances that have been laid bare, I am asking you to consider whether you would like to forgive me, leave the past behind, and attempt to rebuild our family from scratch. Alternatively, you may already be aware that you are unable or unwilling to forgive me and that you will never return to us. I am requesting that you give this matter some thought. I am seeking to ascertain whether you would be amenable to the prospect of reviving our marriage. I would be grateful if you could clarify your position on this matter. I believe that she is currently unable to demand such specificity from me. I suspect that she may have become involved with someone else and is attempting to resolve the situation with me. I responded that I believe I am worth more than a mere messenger and that we will discuss the matter further soon. I then proceeded to present my 2 conditions for the marriage to last. The first of these conditions is that I must move to the capital city and sever all ties with AP and his family. The second is that she must accept the consequences of her actions. She has expressed remorse for her behavior but is reluctant to relocate to Warsaw because she believes that the cost of housing, even in smaller apartments, will be prohibitively expensive. She also asserts that our children have a relatively comfortable lifestyle in the small town where they currently reside. She is responsible for the payment of the bills for the apartment she currently occupies, which is located in her father's building in Warsaw. She would be required to pay 4 to 5 times more for a smaller apartment. In addition to the cost of the apartment, she must also pay rent. Furthermore, she has numerous friends and family members with whom she can socialize after work. These factors are all true. However, I have observed that the children are happy, and the current situation is convenient for her. She has stated that if we were to move, it would only result in her being the one who would be happy about it. It would be a source of personal gratification. It is a challenging situation because she is correct in her assessment. Even kindergarten in the small town is the responsibility of her sister, and we bear minimal financial burden. She has placed me in a situation that is difficult to resolve. I will maintain my position. I will not reside in the small town, but I also recognize that it is not logical for them to relocate. We agreed that, in this case, I will continue to visit. I will endeavor to spend as much time with the children as possible. I will continue to take them to Warsaw every other weekend. She informed me that she does not intend to enter into another relationship and that I will eventually recognize this fact. She stated that she intends to remain single. I find this assertion difficult to accept, though I am not particularly concerned about it. Perhaps it is beneficial that the children will have only me as a father figure, rather than an unknown individual. I am uncertain. During the course of our conversation, she made a number of statements that indicated a lack of remorse. When I inquired as to why she had not contacted me at all during the period of our separation, she replied that she had been preoccupied with the care of her 2 children. She further stated that she would never discuss the affair again and that she would not provide any additional details if I inquired about it. She made it clear that she was finished with the matter. She has indicated that she will not share any further details with me because I informed her family about certain facts that she had requested to remain undisclosed. She has stated that the AP has been writing to her for many years and that she has repeatedly rejected his advances. However, she claims that her decision to initiate an affair with him was influenced by my passive behavior during the previous year. I have expressed my disbelief and disgust at her assertion, but she has not provided a response. Her eyes widened, and she replied, "You're thinking only about yourself. You're the only poor guy in this situation. I somehow learned to live by myself with limited time with my children. Now, I feel like they're dating again. In fact, I started using dating apps some time ago. I receive a satisfactory amount of matches, and setting up a date with a nice girl is not an issue in general. I already had 2 or 3 short-term relationships, which unfortunately had to end because whenever they wanted to meet me, I was busy with the children every other weekend. Long-term relationships, which unfortunately had to end because whenever they wanted to meet me I was busy with the children every other weekend, are not a viable option. I wish they had lasted longer. I always lied that I had some meeting or other, and they considered it a lack of interest on my part. The problem is how to navigate this situation in the short term. Whenever I meet a new girl, I do not. If I were to state that I am almost divorced with 2 children, I would posit that the only way for a second or third date to occur is for me to be forthcoming about my circumstances from the outset. Is there a solution to this predicament? Would a woman be willing to remain in a relationship with me if I were to be transparent about my situation from the beginning? I am not necessarily seeking a serious relationship at this juncture, but I would eventually like to be in one.